Gentlemen, what if I told you that science has finally identified the exact positions that help a woman reach climax consistently? I'm not talking about guesswork or magazine advice. I'm talking about peer-reviewed research that studied thousands of women to find what actually works. I know when you're with a woman, you want to bring her the best experience possible. But here's the reality. Most men are using positions that science says are the least likely to get her there. Today, I'm breaking down two positions that research shows create consistent results and one popular position that even surprised me when I saw the data. It's a position most men think is guaranteed, but science tells a different story. I'm Dr. Lila Romano, a board-certified urologist with over a decade of experience helping men achieve better intimate health. Stay with me because what I reveal about that third position might completely change your approach. If you want to understand what actually works, hit that subscribe button. Now, I need to be honest about something I see every day in my practice: the frustration, the confusion, the quiet worry that maybe you're not doing something right. In my decade as a urologist, I've counseled thousands of men over 50. One of the most common concerns I hear is, Dr. Lila, I want to satisfy my partner, but I'm not sure she's finishing. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Here's a statistic that might surprise you. Only 65% of women regularly experience orgasm during partnered sex. Compare that to 95% of men. That gap exists because most intimate encounters are structured around what works for men, not women. This matters even more after 50. As we age, both partners' bodies change. Circulation isn't what it used to be. Sensitivity shifts. What worked effortlessly in your 30s might not work the same way now. Many men rely on the same techniques they've used for decades, wondering why results have changed. This creates performance anxiety. It affects confidence. It can create distance in relationships, even when neither partner wants to talk about it. But here's the good news. Modern research has identified specific positions that maximize success for female orgasm. These positions work especially well for mature couples. They're not just comfortable, they're scientifically proven to address exactly what her body needs. Before we continue, I want you to know where this information comes from. What I'm sharing today is an opinion. This comes from peer-reviewed research published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy and Archives of Sexual Behavior. These studies examined position-dependent orgasm rates across diverse populations, tracking which positions consistently led to climax. The findings were clear and sometimes surprising. When I first reviewed this research, it changed how I counsel patients. Because once you understand what's actually happening inside her body during different positions, you can make informed choices that lead to better outcomes. Every woman is unique. What works for one might not work exactly the same for another. But the patterns in this research are undeniable. The two positions I'm about to share had the highest success rates across thousands of women. Here's what's actually happening inside her body. The clitoris is the primary trigger for orgasm in 70 to 80% of women. It's not the only pathway, but it's by far the most reliable. And most men don't realize the clitoris has over 8,000 nerve endings, nearly twice as many as the entire penis. It's the most concentrated bundle of pleasure nerves in the human body. Here's the problem with most sexual positions. They focus almost entirely on penetration. Penetration alone, without clitoral stimulation, bypasses the structure most likely to lead to her orgasm. This is why standard thrusting often doesn't result in female climax, even when it feels good. Vaginal orgasms absolutely exist, but research shows they occur in only 18 to 25% of women. The vast majority need some clitoral stimulation to reach climax. That's not a flaw, that's biology. When we talk about which positions work best, we're looking for three elements. First, physical stimulation of the clitoris through grinding, pressure, or contact. Second, emotional connection. Face-to-face positions trigger oxytocin release, which amplifies physical pleasure for women. Third, sustained arousal. The average woman needs 15 to 20 minutes of consistent stimulation to reach orgasm. Now let me show you which positions deliver all three elements. The first position that science confirms works consistently is a modified missionary with a pillow. under her hips, and here's the key: you're grinding forward instead of just thrusting in and out. Let me explain exactly why this works. When you're on top and she has a pillow elevating her hips, you're creating the perfect angle for dual action stimulation. First, the emotional component. Face to face, looking into each other's eyes, creates incredible emotional connection. You can kiss her, see her expressions, whisper to her. For women, emotional connection amplifies physical pleasure. When she feels close to you, her body responds more intensely. Now the physical mechanics. With that pillow under her hips, her pelvis tilts upward at about 15 to 20 degrees. This creates direct contact between your pubic bone and her clitoral area. Here's the technique most men miss. You're not thrusting in and out like a piston. You're grinding forward and back. Think of it as a rocking motion where you stay deep and create friction against her clitoris with your lower abdomen. You're maintaining constant pressure on that highly sensitive area. This creates simultaneous stimulation, clitoral stimulation plus penetration plus emotional connection. When you get all three working together, the results are powerful. Research in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy confirmed this. Women reported this position as most reliable for achieving orgasm during intercourse. I had a patient, a 58-year-old man, married over 30 years. His wife rarely climaxed during sex, and he felt like he was failing her. I taught him this exact position and technique. A few months later, he told me it completely transformed their intimate life. His wife was climaxing regularly for the first time in their marriage. It brought back a closeness they thought they'd lost. Common mistakes. First, going too fast. This isn't about speed, it's about sustained, consistent pressure. Second, thrusting instead of grinding. If you're moving in and out rapidly, you're losing. Third, not paying attention to feedback. If she's pulling you closer or her breathing is getting heavier, keep doing exactly what you're doing. The second position that science confirms works is when a woman is on top of you, leaning forward. Not sitting upright, but leaning down so her chest is close to yours, face to face. She's facing you, looking into your eyes. There's that emotional connection. But the angle when she's on top and leaning forward works incredibly well mechanically. When she leans forward, her clitoral area makes contact with your lower abdomen and pubic bone. Because she's controlling the movement, she can adjust the angle, pressure, and grinding motion to hit exactly the right spot. Research shows women have significantly higher orgasm rates when they control the rhythm themselves. She knows exactly what feels good and can fine-tune it in real time. Some men aren't fans of this position because they feel less in control, but here's what I tell my patients. Leadership isn't about position, it's about confidence. Here's how you take charge when she's on top. Grab her hips firmly with both hands. Start guiding her movements. Pull her into you with intention. Set the rhythm by moving her body. Pull her down for deep kissing. This creates that primal feeling of being desired and led. That take charge energy does something powerful for women psychologically. It taps into the part of the brain where we want to feel wanted, desired, and pursued. This position also has a practical benefit for men over 50. It requires less cardiovascular effort. You're not supporting your body weight or thrusting continuously. This means you can sustain the encounter longer without getting fatigued. Communication tip: ask her, "Does this angle feel good?" Or, "Should I pull you in harder?" That feedback shows you're paying attention. It shows you care about her pleasure. It helps you fine-tune the exact movements that work for her body. Here's something important I need to address. These two positions are scientifically proven to help women reach climax. They should be your foundation, but if you only use these two positions every time, intimacy can start to feel predictable, and predictability is the enemy of desire. Women crave variety. We want spontaneity. That feeling of not knowing exactly what's going to happen next. That unpredictability triggers dopamine, which heightens arousal and makes the experience more exciting. Here's how I recommend you approach this. Use variety throughout the intimate encounter. Start with different positions for foreplay, for building arousal, for creating passion and intensity. But when it's time for her to finish, when she's highly aroused and ready to climax, that's when you transition into one of these two science-backed positions. This way, she gets both the excitement of variety and the reliable stimulation she needs to actually reach orgasm. When you confidently move her body into different positions, that demonstrates masculine confidence. It shows her you know what you're doing. She doesn't know what you're going to do next, and that keeps the fire burning. Connection is beautiful. Those face-to-face positions create deep intimacy. But women also want passion, intensity, and raw energy. Give her both. Use those two positions as your reliable finish, but mix in others earlier for excitement. Before I reveal the position that doesn't work, I need to address something foundational. None of these positions matter if blood isn't flowing properly to the genitals. Both men and women have erectile tissue that needs to engorge with blood for arousal and orgasm. For men, this is obvious. You need blood flow for erections. But women also have erectile tissue in the clitoris and internally that swells with blood during arousal. Without adequate blood flow, sensitivity decreases, lubrication decreases, and orgasm becomes significantly more difficult. The science involves a molecule called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It signals blood vessels to relax and open wide so blood can flow freely. It's the master molecule for circulation and essential for sexual function in both men and women. Here's the problem. Nitric oxide production declines as we age. By 50, you're producing 20 to 30% less nitric oxide than in your 20s. This affects everything, making erections more difficult for men and reducing sensitivity for women. What impacts nitric oxide? Aging, poor diet, processed food and sugar, sedentary lifestyle, high blood pressure, chronic stress, and inadequate sleep. How to support nitric oxide naturally? First, eat foods rich in nitrates, beets, spinach, arugula, leafy greens. Second, foods with L-citrulline like watermelon. Third, dark chocolate with 70% cocoa. It contains flavonoids that protect nitric oxide. Fourth, omega-3 fatty acids from salmon, walnuts, and flaxseed. Beyond diet, regular cardiovascular exercise is crucial. Even 30 minutes of brisk walking most days significantly improves circulation. And prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep nightly. For additional support, L-citrulline supplementation has strong research behind it. Studies show 3 to 6 grams daily can improve blood flow and erectile function. Choose high-quality supplements that are organic and USA made, not cheap synthetic versions. Better blood flow benefits both of you. For you, it means stronger, more reliable erections. For her, it means better sensitivity, easier arousal, and more intense orgasms. Everything works better when circulation is optimized. Now we need to talk about the position that science says is least likely to lead to female orgasm. When I first saw this research, I was genuinely surprised. This is a position most men love. It feels intense, it's visually stimulating, it taps into something primal. It's doggy style. Before you think, wait, Dr. Lila, that can't be true because she's making sounds, she's into it, she's telling me to keep going, let me explain. Yes, she is feeling intense physical sensation. Penetration from that angle can feel very full and stimulating. She's not faking. The sounds are real. She genuinely likes the intensity. But here's the critical distinction. Intensity and pleasure are not the same as orgasm. She can enjoy the sensation without being able to climax from it. The research is very clear. Women reported the lowest orgasm rates in this position. Why? 2 scientific reasons. First, there's no face-to-face connection. She's facing away from you. She can't see your eyes kiss you. The oxytocin release from eye contact and intimacy is missing. That alone makes orgasm more difficult. But here's the bigger reason. Her clitoris isn't getting stimulated. The clitoris is the primary orgasm trigger for 70 to 80% of women. In doggy style, the clitoris gets zero contact. You're penetrating deeply, but that area with 8,000 nerve endings is completely untouched. You could reach around and stimulate manually, but that's not happening naturally in the position itself. Research showed less than 20% of women climaxed in this position without additional manual stimulation. Compare that to 65 to 70% in modified missionary. The difference is dramatic. Does this mean never use doggy style? Absolutely not. It's great for variety, passion, intensity. Many women enjoy the raw, primal feeling. Use it earlier when you're building arousal. But if your goal is to help her reach climax, don't expect it to happen in this position unless you're also providing clitoral stimulation with your hand. Here's a modification. Have her lie flat on her stomach instead of hands and knees. You're still entering from behind, but now you can reach around more easily. Or use the position for a few minutes, then transition to one of the orgasm-friendly positions. Don't feel disappointed if she doesn't climax in that position. Now you understand why. The two missing elements are clitoral stimulation and face-to-face emotional connection. Before you use these positions, I want to address 5 common mistakes I see in my practice, because avoiding these will make everything we've discussed work even better. Mistake number 1, rushing. The average woman needs 15 to 20 minutes of sustained stimulation to reach orgasm. Some need more. If you're trying to bring her to climax in 5 or 10 minutes, it's probably not going to happen. Slow down. Be patient. Enjoy the process. The journey matters as much as the destination. Mistake number 2, changing positions too frequently. When she's building toward climax, when you can tell she's getting close, stay consistent. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. Changing positions at that moment resets her arousal. She has to build back up again. Pay attention to her breathing, her sounds, the way she's moving. If she's pulling you closer or pushing into you, that's her body telling you don't stop, don't change anything. Mistake number 3, ignoring feedback. Every woman's body is different. What worked for a previous partner might not work the same way for her. Pay attention. Ask questions. Does this feel good? Do you want me to go faster or slower? Communication isn't awkward. It shows you care about her experience. Mistake number 4, making it all about the orgasm. Ironically, when you focus obsessively on making her climax, it creates pressure. She feels like she has to perform. And that pressure makes orgasm less likely. Focus instead on connection, on pleasure, on being present with her. When you remove the pressure and just enjoy each other, orgasm happens more naturally. And mistake number 5, not communicating beforehand. Talk to her outside the bedroom. Ask her what she enjoys, what feels good to her, what she'd like to try. These positions are scientifically proven, but individual variation still exists. Open communication makes everything better. And remember the foundation: blood flow matters. Support your nitric oxide production with proper nutrition, cardiovascular exercise, adequate sleep, and, if needed, quality supplementation. Better circulation means better results for both of you. Now, here's what I want you to do. Next time you're intimate, try the modified missionary position with the grinding technique. Pay attention to how she responds. Notice the difference when you focus on clitoral stimulation and connection rather than just thrusting. The science is clear. When you combine clitoral stimulation with emotional connection and sustained arousal, everything changes. These aren't just techniques. They're backed by research on thousands of women. And they work especially well for mature couples who understand that great intimacy is about understanding how your bodies actually work. If you know someone who could benefit, share this video. Intimate health is something we should talk about openly, without embarrassment. This is Dr. Lila Romano, and I will see you in the next video.